Record going. Cool. So yeah, you are now at the 9th ever knowledge drop by Mr. Rob Price here, who I'll introduce in a second. But just to go over sort of like the ground rules of how this works, if this is your first knowledge drop or you're a regular knowledge dropper, thank you for joining in again. And there's a question and answer box at the bottom here. So as Rob goes through his deck, which we'll spend about the first half of this half an hour on, feel free to write questions in there if you don't want to forget them by the end of the talk, because we'll save about the last 10 minutes for some question and answer. There's also a chat box if you guys want to just get in there and chat amongst each other, or just write stuff like how good Rob's haircut is, or whatever you want to write in there. Feel free to go in there and just chat away. And yeah, this whole thing's being recorded, so we'll put this in the remote year archive of all the knowledge drops that we have, this being the 9th one. So we're almost in double digits knowledge drops. And don't forget to join the Slack channel if you're not in there. And always reach out to me, Travis, on Slack, if you have an idea for knowledge drop and you'd like to give it in the future. So that's that taken care of. Thank you guys again for being here. And I'll give it over to you, Mr. Rob. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good, Travis. How are you?
I'm all fired up on mate, dude.
How much better could you be? Excellent. Well, let me share my screen then and get going, seeing as we've got 15 minutes to share quite a lot of information.
Yes.
All right. Let's just get rid of this, if you'll bear with me for one moment. And Trav, just jump in if... are we all good to go there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Guys, fantastic to be with you. As Trav mentioned, my name's Rob Price, and I'm from the Darien Group, coming to you from our first month as citizens, which I've got to say is kind of weird. So we're going to have to rely on you from here on in to keep having fun wherever you are around the world. We had the most incredible time and enjoy the program hugely. And I'm sure you guys are getting an enormous amount out of it as well. So without too much ado, let's just jump straight into this. And I'd like to welcome you to what we call the power of calm.
Rob, just to jump in real quick, did you try to screen share? Because I don't think it worked yet. If you
Yes, I did screen share. So let me just hop out again and screen share again.
I'm just seeing you and me still, which is a great view, but yeah.
Let's try there. How about now?
That's working, yeah.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
And now I will just get to present. And awesome. You guys should be able to see it now. Excellent. Okay, guys, the topic of today's knowledge drop is the power of calm. And I've really got one overarching goal for you today, and that is I really want to change the way you think about stress. I want to take a bright light and shine it on this little word that we all know so well, but we underappreciate. We underappreciate its ability to affect the way we think, the way we act, the way we behave, and the way we perform, and so much more. Most importantly, by the end of this, I want to leave you with a distinct impression that a clear mind and a calm, balanced body and constitution is a powerful force for health, well-being, and performance, and that it's much more accessible and scientific than you may previously have thought. So what am I going to drop today? Well, I want to answer 3 simple but profound questions. Firstly, what is stress in a real physiological way? And you might be surprised at the answer. I also want to touch on why it matters so much to our health, well-being, and performance. And probably most importantly, how you can take better control over it in a simple, scientific, and effective way. Now, why is this close to my heart? Well, as you're probably realizing it, remote life can be stressful. A lot of our pillars that have previously supported us are not there. We're away from family and friends. We're trying to execute business strategies or work for the company without having touch points that we're used to. And this is unique to remote life, but of course, life itself has a lot of the same challenges. And really important to note that a clear mind and a calm, balanced body can be a powerful force to help us get the most out of these situations. Kind of learned this the hard way. The first 15 odd years of my career were spent on none other than Wall Street. And what I didn't learn about stress back then is quite frankly not worth knowing. Over that period of time, I definitely felt my performance and my health and my headspace start to become compromised to the point that it really pushed me to try and understand a little bit more about what was going on. And when I did take the time to learn. I was pretty blown away by what was happening and the low-hanging fruit there was to pick. And I want to share a bit of that with you here today. So let's jump straight into asking and answering the very first question. What is stress? Now, it's pretty fundamental and profound, but so many people get it wrong. And the best way of us diving into this is maybe through a scenario. So I want you to think back to, say, a wedding or a presentation that you sat in, where just that time where people stand up and address the crowd or the set of wedding guests. And isn't it incredible how there is always somebody who stands up there, grabs a microphone and speaks as if they've been doing it all their life, and they're just so comfortable and relaxed. And then there's invariably someone who'll stand up and be looking like they are standing in front of a firing squad, like hands shaking, eyes bulging, heart racing, barely being able to keep a thought straight. And the big question is, why? I mean, what's the difference that's happening up there? Both people are in the same room, facing the same audience, talking about similar things with the same consequences in front of them. The honest to goodness truth is, it's not the situation that is stressful. If it was, both people would be responding in a similar way. This is absolutely fundamental to understand. There is actually very rarely such a thing as a stressful situation, only a stressful response. Now, this is really not splitting hairs. It's completely essential to understanding what stress actually is. Stress is not this fluffy thing just hanging around in the air that's waiting to happen to us. It is a physical response to a perceived threat or challenge. And once we can appreciate or understand that stress is not a reality, but a response, we can also appreciate that we might have a little more control over it being our own response than we might previously have thought. Now, I'm going to say a bunch of kind of nasty things about stress over the next 10 minutes. So I want to go on record early and tell you that I think it is bloody incredible. It is a wonder of physiology. If a gas pipe blew in the room next door, you would go from sitting there quietly listening to this knowledge drop to being halfway down the hallway, eyes wide, heart racing, muscles tense, sweating, running like a bat out of hell. And this would have all happened in the blink of an eye. Have you any idea of the size of the physiological shift or the power of the shift that needs to happen to get your body and your mind out of that chair and halfway down the hallway before you even realize it? So when the stress response kicks in, within a split second, your thought process goes from logical and balanced to reactive and defensive. It becomes hard to remember things. Your blood vessels constrict to bring blood away from your extremities to your muscles for fight or flight. You breathe faster to bring oxygen to your system for energy. You start to sweat in anticipation of needing to be cooled down. Your heart rate's up to bring blood around your body. Your blood sugar spikes to deliver energy. The energy hungry systems in your body, like digestion and your immune and fertility systems, are put on hold, because that can wait until you're sort of up that proverbial tree. And your blood pressure, well, that's kind of got nowhere to go but up, right? Because as you're sort of squeezing the hose of your blood vessels and increasing the pump, it's kind of like only got one place to go. This stress response, I run through these just to show you that it's nothing to be trifled with. It's an incredibly powerful response, but it is also an ancient response, and it's very blunt. It's a response that was primarily designed to help us respond to physical threats. And it's very primitive. So it's basically what got us out of the jungle and where we are today. And it was designed to be short-lived, get us out of trouble, and then to be switched off, where we could rest, repair, and regenerate. Now, the problem is, in the modern world, the threats we face are different. They're probably better described as challenges. In other words, they're more emotional and abstract. So, for example, landing your ideal job. Now, that's something that's worth being concerned about. But sitting in the interview with your muscles tense, your heart racing, sweating, being defensive in your thought process rather than logical and balanced. Now, that's hardly going to help you achieve what you're trying to achieve. Most importantly, these threats, which we so often, well, these threats are really more challenges, and we mistake them as threats, and they're around us all the time, meaning that this powerful response is engaged to the huge detriment of our health and well-being, often 24/7. Now that we understand it, touch on why it matters so much if it's surrounding us all the time. Now, many of the things that are most oftenly reported include, symptoms of stress include things like headache, fatigue, low immunity, bad skin, disturbed sleep, and so many others. The real problem is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Stress affects almost every system and process in your body. From the way your blood circulates through your system to how you digest, the strength of your immune system, the strength of your bones, how we sleep, the health and tension of your muscles, your propensity to gain weight, your mood, the health of your skin, the health of your heart, even the way we age. All of these things are affected by the engagement or the persistent engagement of the stress response. Now, I could go on literally for hours on each of these, but what I've done is I've just chosen a couple to help illustrate the point. So let's have a look at sleep, for example. Now, the stress response is essentially your body's alarm system. And what good would an alarm system be, right, if it let you fall asleep while it was going off? So when this response is kicked in, it has you in a state of arousal and readiness. And it does this using the stress hormone cortisol. Now, that hormone cortisol is the hormone that helps regulate your circadian rhythm. So that's the rhythm that is naturally, or the hormone that's naturally higher in the morning to help get you out of bed and lower at night to help you go to sleep. So if you bring this stress hormone from a nasty day of stress into bed with you at night, the chances of you getting a good night's sleep are really pretty slim. And the real danger here is that lack of sleep when it comes to stress is a vicious circle, because the less you sleep, the more stressed your body gets, and the more stressed your body gets, the less you sleep. And unless you can break this cycle, you're going to continue to have issues as far as sleep and stress are concerned. Let's have a look at another one, which a lot of us experience, but we might not realize what was going on. Stress can have a profound effect on your entire digestive system. Now, imagine for a minute, or cast your mind back to the last time that you had something you were nervous for, like a speech or talking in front of a bunch of people. Isn't it funny how your mouth goes dry? It happens to everybody when they're nervous about something. The reason this happens is because saliva production is the very first part of your digestive system, of your digestive process. And the sign of a dry mouth is a surefire sign that stress has shut your digestive system down. Moving down the system, what it'll also do is it'll restrict blood flow to your stomach or to your digestive tract, away from your digestion and your organs, and to your muscles to help you stand your ground or run for your life. So when the blood is taken away from your stomach, you're no longer absorbing the nutrients or liquids that you need to absorb in the process of digestion. At the same time, the digestive cycle is interrupted. So those contractions that push food through your system are stopped. And this is where your food gets stuck in your digestive tract, and your stomach starts to grumble. So a grumbling stomach, a dry mouth, a need to go to the toilet because water and nutrients are not being absorbed, that kind of feels like stress, doesn't it? Now you can kind of see why. So I've touched on those two, and there's so many more, just to bring it to life as to why it's so important to be aware of the physical symptoms of your stress. Let's just talk for a minute about the million-dollar question. How can we actually do something about it? Now, the stress response is incredibly impressive and powerful, and we also now know that it's often an unnecessary physical response to a challenge that would benefit from a much more thoughtful, cerebral kind of approach. What we need to do is we need to learn to recognize and reduce our tendency towards these physical overreactions to emotional or non-physical problems. Let me explain what I mean. So when it comes to stress management, there are really two perspectives. The first is the perspective of the psychology of stress. So it's all about identifying the issues and associations that trigger the stress response in us, and then to form strategies to reframe and manage them. Now, this is obviously an individual journey. What makes me stressed is different than what makes Travis stressed, what makes you stressed. It's a thoroughly individual journey. And if we want to undertake these, we should undertake them with the help of a psychologist or a friend or a coach. However, the second school of thought about stress is about the biology of stress. And it's all about identifying the physical symptoms of stress and then learning the skills to reduce and control it. This is simple, scientific, and universal. While different things make different people stressed at different times, the way we respond when we're stressed is universal. And by putting that focus on how we're digesting, how we're sleeping, how we're thinking, we can identify when we are stressed, and we can learn some very simple tools and strategies to deal with it before it becomes a problem. What do we need to learn how to do? Essentially, we need to learn how to relax. Now, after a year of remote year, I'm brave, but I'm not stupid. There's no way I'm going to stand on this call for 10 minutes and try and tell you guys that all you need to do now is go away and relax. I know you'll hunt me down. There is much more science and simplicity to the concept of relaxation than you might previously have thought. You see, just in the same way as we've got a stress response, we've also got this thing called a relaxation response. And it is an equal and even more powerful system in the human body. It controls all of those housekeeping functions in the human body that are associated with rest, repair, and regeneration. The problem is so few of us spend enough time in this state each day, and I really want to help you change that. Now, achieving the relaxation response, as I'm sure you're starting to get the feel for, is actually more about science than you think. There's this amazing stress scientist called Dr. Herbert Benson, who's at Harvard University, and he's been studying the stress response and the relaxation response for the last 30 years. And he, together with his students, have basically gone through every ancient and modern stress mitigation protocol out there with the aim of burrowing down to the few major things or protocols that we need to do to achieve this shift from a stress response to a relaxation response, to be able to flip the switch between a stress state and a relaxed state. And it is mind-blowingly simple and straightforward as to what is required. Firstly, we need to find a non-distracting or quiet environment to sit in. We need to get an object, a word, a sound, or a focus, something to get our mind to stop punching at shadows so it can relax and let go. We need to bring a passive attitude to this endeavor. In other words, sitting there thinking, is it working? Is it working? Is it working? Well, that's not likely to get you to where you want to get to. And lastly, we just need to be sitting in a comfortable position so our bodies are not screaming at us. Guys, learning how to control stress better is not about chanting at the sunrise or going on a pilgrimage to Tibet or giving up our worldly possessions. It's about taking a little bit of time every day to help put our body into a relaxed state so that our nervous system can become more balanced and we can start to rest, repair, and regenerate, to start to behave in a way that is not defensive and reactive and let our systems calm down. How do we go about doing this? Well, hopefully we've taken the first step today with this knowledge drop to change the way we think about stress. It's also really key to learn a simple skill, and there are a lot of them, as to how to flip the switch from stress to calm. And also just to prioritize a few minutes out of each day to start to teach our system what it feels like to be in that relaxed state so it can head there itself when it needs to. Now, over the last 5 years or so since I made the decision to get out of banking, besides for traveling, I've been working on a great little project where I've been working with some amazing people to put together a set of skills and strategies and tools to help people learn how to flip that switch between stressed and calm in a simple, scientific, and effective way. We've been getting some awesome results from it, and I wanted to make it available to all you guys in remote year to have a little play with, to give you the skills and strategies to add a practical element to this knowledge drop. In other words, to change theory into practice. So for any of you guys who want to, it's basically a 14-day program supported by an app, which basically answers the questions of what, why, and how, and imbues you with a skill that can really help you flip that switch anytime you need it most. If you want to try it, simply go to our website, which is powerofcalm.com, and head to the purchase page and put in the code RY2017 when you check out, and it will give it to you for free. What do you not do? Don't put it off until tomorrow, guys. Don't underestimate the power that stress has to affect your health, well-being, and performance. I did it for 15 years and it was awful. And since doing something about it, it's just made such a massive difference to my life. And don't underestimate the power of calm in adding to your life experience, your experience on remote year, and your performance in general. So with that done, guys, I'll just end up by saying that to us, or to me, the power of calm is really the power to respond in a clear and measured way to daily challenges. It's the power to take control and move forward with clarity and purpose. And most importantly, it's the power to experience life with a level of balance that supports our health, our performance, and our success. Any questions at all, please feel free to fire them my way.
That was awesome, man. And what a legend for giving this amazing resource that you've put together to the whole nation.
My pleasure, mate. My pleasure.
Okay. You can quit from the screen share, Rob, and we'll see if we can get some questions coming in. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, back with you.
Anybody? Well, Raven just said it's not a question, but she's saying that it says the discount has expired. So maybe that's something to check, but I'm sure Rob can sort that out. No problem for you guys. We'll make sure that you guys have access to the power of calm. Any other questions out there?
I'll definitely go and check that now, guys. But fantastic that it only took you 5 seconds to go and try it. So awesome.
Yeah, it's good that people are
Thanks, Raven.
hoping to use it. It's amazing. I'll ask a question while we wait for maybe a few other people from our audience here. I'm like very interested right now in like people having like kind of daily or morning routines. I've been trying to build yoga into my routine over the last few weeks, like during like my lunch break. But do you have anything that you think kind of puts you at like a more like kind of calm, like balance, like day in and day out? That's like something you either do when you wake up or just like kind of a part of your day to day. That's not so much like how you respond to the moment of stress, but just something to keep you more calm in general.
I absolutely do. And this is something that you'll be able to learn as well if you have a little bit of a play with the program. Essentially, one of the first things I do as soon as I wake up and I've just got up, had a shower before I engage with anything, is I sit down and I spend 10 minutes just shifting my body from that state of kind of sympathetic drive, which is, wake up, doing, thinking, back down to that state of relaxation. So I spend 10 minutes doing an exercise, which essentially calms my mind and body. And it was funny, we were talking about coffee and mate and whatever before. If you do this, you'll see you'll come out of that 10 minutes and you'll be going. You don't need a coffee to get started or a mate to get started. And just starting the day with that habit is a really powerful way of setting your body and your mind in the right place to get going. I also do it in the evening for 10 minutes. Once I'm done with my work stuff, I find it to be a fantastic way of drawing a line between work and the next part of my day. And twice a day is generally enough to start persuading your body to spend more time in a relaxed state rather than a stressed one.
Awesome. I will try to start that out. We have a couple questions here, actually. Raven, who's the all-star webinar today, thank you, Raven, asked, how important do you feel vitamins and minerals are and different supplements to the process of a calm existence and general stress management?
It's amazing that it has become, just in the last year, such a contentious subject, because so many folks are now starting to question whether vitamins and minerals are as important as we previously thought. And the answer to me is always, if you've got a balanced diet and you're getting all the vitamins and minerals that you need from your diet, supplementing them is really not as important. If, as with many of us traveling around the world, we're really struggling to get the sorts of vitamins and minerals that we're used to in our diets, they really are important, because if your body is not getting what it needs to function, that is a stress response in itself. Hunger is, well, starvation is a stress response. Lack of water or dehydration is a stress response. So by the same token, if you're not getting the nutrients, should I say, maybe I wouldn't call it just vitamins and minerals, but if you're not getting the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that your body needs, your body's going to think that it's starting to deteriorate, and it's going to start putting you to a state of trying to problem solve. And that's that same stressed state. And in that respect, it really is important that we eat well.
Awesome. Last question, because we're almost at the half an hour mark, is Sam Town is asking, hey Rob, whenever I feel the effects of stress coming on, I try to take a few deep breaths, but it doesn't always work. Would love to know if you have any techniques sort of like that, deep breathing or something like that that you use that does work for you.
Absolutely. So when you download the app, you'll see we've got a little thing on there called a pressure valve. And that pressure valve is 2 minutes of full breathing, I would say, but it also involves looking at a ball that is inflating and deflating. Now, essentially what you're doing with the deep breaths is you're trying to reset your focus onto your breath and away from the things that your mind is punching shadows at. So we absolutely do. Sometimes 2 or 3 deep breaths is not enough, because remember, what you're trying to achieve is bringing your mind's attention away from the things that it's punching shadows at, or that it's punching at shadows, and to something where it sees no threat. So what I'd suggest is just take a little bit more than 2 or 3 breaths, take a minute or 2, really focus your mind in onto your breath. It doesn't need to be on your breath. It can be, this is where some of the practices of mindfulness can be great. It can be onto the texture of something. There's so many different ways of doing it. But the thing that you're really trying to achieve is to persuade your mind that it doesn't have to prepare you for fight or flight, because the thing that you're worried about or concerned about is really not a threat to your physical safety. And once you've got that realization, whichever the techniques that you've used to do that, it becomes easier when you know what you're actually trying to achieve. So by all means, download our app with the program, and there's a bunch of little exercises that you can do to help.
Amazing. And we'll make sure all that, all the information, like the code and everything, is in the Knowledge Drop channel on Slack as well, so you guys know exactly how to take advantage of that amazing offer from you, Rob. Thanks again for that. Thanks for this entire talk. Thank you guys who joined us today. And again, this is getting recorded, so we'll have it in our archive, and you can always watch it later or share it with anybody in your circle that you think might benefit from a little more of a calm existence. Maybe someone that was in banking like Rob for 15 years. I've also learned today why I always go to the bathroom before I perform open mics. That's like something I never really knew why that was happening, but it's nice to know. So thanks for educating all of us, and for your wisdom on this today, Rob. And thank you guys again for joining. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Hopefully you'll join us for the next Knowledge Drop then. All right. Cheers, guys.